Welcome to Legacy Cast, your source for hearing from top influencers, industry experts, and successful business owners who are telling their unique story about life, values, goals, business strategies, and the various causes they are so passionate about. Future generations will come to be impacted by what is happening today, whether positive or negative, and our mission is to focus on what is going to affect change for the better. Hosted each weekday by James Snow, a former U.S. Army combat medic, now founder and principal advisor of James Advisors Group, a full-service financial planning firm in North Texas. This is Legacy Cast. Welcome, Legacy Cast listeners. This is your host, James Snow. Welcome you to the program today. And I have with me today a guest and a good friend of mine, Jason Stier. He comes to us from here, also from North Texas, and he's someone who really is very patriotic. That's important to me, obviously, but someone who also understands the value of doing things with the legacy focus. To make sure that we are put here on this earth to do things in a certain manner, and so all of the things that come through in our life, they should be handled accordingly and with due diligence. And so without further ado, I'd like to welcome Jason onto the program here. Welcome, my bud.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and as I was kind of mentioning, you're in the home ownership world. So if you can maybe just delve into that a little bit for the listeners so they can understand kind of what you're.
I'll kind of give you a little bit about my background, and I have been in the mortgage industry for 18 years actually this month. So we've seen a lot of things come and go. 2008, 9, and the crash and the loss of homes and it's but the business it's a great business to be in because we get to serve people, and especially my business, which is mostly, I would say 90% is dealing with active duty, military and veterans. And that's just the people that I choose to help. And it's personal, it's business, it's all those things kind of intertwined. And I have the pleasure and the honor of educating them about a benefit that most don't really know about. And I have, the honor of putting a lot of these men and women in homes that didn't think they could otherwise buy them. And, man, there's nothing more gratifying than walking someone through this process who's doesn't know anything about it or has been told no by someone else. And we figure out a way to do it. And because, men and women like yourself who served our country honorably deserve that. And so we want to make sure that we honor them doing it and doing it well.
And home ownership, is part of that. We as men here, we kind of see things, through that lens. But with that providing and protecting lens that we look through, being able to provide a home is very important. And
we have that conversation with our clients a lot, and that they mentioned to me, and I it's a conversation they don't just come right out and start talking about. I try to get to know my clients. It's not just about doing a mortgage. I want to get to know them as people and families, and
sure.
And where they come from and what they've done, and so it's a castle, right? It's their castle, it's their domain, their kingdom where they want to raise their kids and set down roots. So if they are, active military and they're on a deployment, they have something that they own to come home to. Mm-hmm. This is a place where they protect their kids and raise their families. And a lot of people don't see it like that. It's just a transaction. Mm-hmm. And to us and to me, it's much more than just a transaction. It's about, providing a way and a mean for them to have that castle to protect their family.
Sure. And likewise, it's one of those financial strategy parts of the scenario, because as you gain equity in that, you then in turn are able to benefit from the equity and the real estate that you have, and be able to repurpose that in other parts of your life that you're needing to do. And so it's able to multi-purpose.
No,
And
absolutely.
it's certainly
Well,
a very
that's the relationship, right, that you and I have. And when I talk to these men and women about that, and we talk about, we've talked about TSPs before and guys that have been in for, 19, 20 years that may be gaining closer to retirement. There's ways where they can, in a manner where they can take that money out of that TSP and put it in something that's actually going to gain them a better return.
Sure.
And so they have the equity of their home that they're building, and we kind of walk through that process, and then of course their investment side, and it's a trusted partnership, and it's something that I require in my business, and I know you do too. And I think that's where you and I are very aligned in that. Is I don't let many people into my circle that don't have that heart to help people. There's a lot of people out there, right? There's a lot of mortgage people. There's investment people all over the place, but you've got to have that connection, because if you don't, it's just you're treating people like a transaction, in my opinion. And I don't, that's not the way we do things.
That's true. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
So when you're kind of thinking about a legacy, just kind of rewind a little bit here on that part of it, kind of looking at it from that perspective. When you hear legacy, first off, what comes to mind?
When I hear the word legacy, I think about the future.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that pops into my head. How am I building a legacy for the future? I have kids. Okay, I have young boys, and I want to make sure that I'm leaving a legacy for them. Not only financially, but in service to others.
Sure.
We include our boys in all the things that my wife and I do, and we're helping out charities here locally in North Texas. Actually, my wife is actually taking my teenager tomorrow and spending a few hours at the North Dallas Food Bank.
Excellent.
This is the year where that is extremely important, because we need to teach our kids and that legacy is giving back always. And there's multitude of ways to do that. We choose to do it to give back in the veteran community. That's near and dear to our hearts, and we're going to teach them to do that. So legacy to me is just that. It's financial, and for me personally, it's for my kids.
And I like to look at it as, our legacy obviously is a story, but it's a story of what we're doing that's making a difference to make the world better than we found it.
Right.
And other people better than we found it, solving problems so that the situations are better than we found it. And so, like what you're talking about there, it's a very direct correlation to, our purpose of being here and what we're doing, and being very deliberate. So, which kind of leads me into my next line of questioning is how important you feel that it is that people actively consider what they're doing, from a day-to-day basis, either on a personal level or even business levels, that they're making deliberate.
We talk a lot about, working with intention, right? Mm-hmm. It's easy just to go through your day or go through your week or go through your life without intention, right? We can just exist.
Sure.
To me, it's what I found, and as I've grown in this business and as a father and a husband and all those things, is that we have to work each day with a little bit of intention. What do I need to accomplish today? What do I want to teach my boys today? What are we going to, how are we going to give back? How do I make an impact in somebody else's life today?
Right.
And to me, it's just, I see a lot of people, whether guys that I talk to or, vets that we help, that they just kind of float around, from either job to job or, city to city or things like that. And because they have a hard time finding their way, they have a hard time finding a purpose. So we talk a lot about that. We talk a lot about purpose. We talk a lot about, in my house with my boys and even in my clients, we talk a lot about living each day with intention. How do we do that? So, it's literally transformed the way I think about my business, the way I think about my life and my, being a father and a husband, because for a long time, even I would just kind of go from one day to the next.
Yeah.
And at some point, I hope that people find that purpose. And for me, it was my boys and, and serving the military and the veteran community. So.
Yeah. And, when you kind of scrape all that back, that's sort of, the ordained way that it should be,
Right.
that the structure should be happening, in that manner, that, we are doing it with the purpose of, being the leaders of the house, but also to bring up the children to become, better leaders than we were.
Yeah. My boss actually, who was, an active duty SEAL for quite a few years. He has boys that are in the teenage years now. And he always says that he's raising his boys to be the next generation of warriors, and not just, maybe from a military service perspective, but through the combat of life. Right? I mean, we're raising our sons and our daughters to not take things for granted, and not, to work for what they have, and teaching them the values that we grew up with, that you and I have, and projecting that into them. And it's tough. I mean, I'll be honest with you, raising kids in this day and age is not an easy thing to do. And my wife is the rock that keeps this family together. I can assure you that. But it's fun because I get to see the things that we talk about now. They're kind of taking hold of those things and implementing in their own life. And that's fun to watch.
It's outstanding. So how do you take your views on legacy and your plans for implementing that? How do you take that to the level of, incorporating it into your business?
Well, when we consult with a client, whether they're, veteran, active military, or what have you, I think people have a tendency, because of today's instant information age with, the internet and Google and everything, information at your fingertips. We want to take it a step further, right? We want to make sure that we build on the relationship that we have with that client, and building a legacy with them from a personal standpoint, but also building a legacy with them from a business standpoint. And we talk about, short-term goals. We talk about long-term goals and things of that nature. And we try to build something for them around what it is that they want and what their need is, right? I think too many people get caught up in, for me in my particular business, obviously it's interest rates. They look at this number that they see on the internet and they're like, their eyes get this big and like, I got to have it. Well, it's not always the best deal for you because you don't read the fine print, or you don't see what's going on behind the scenes. And, it comes down to education. And I know you're a big proponent of that. And for me, it's education and educating people. And even if they don't use me, right? Even if they don't do their loan through me, I want them to understand the transaction, how it affects their long-term goal. A lot of these men and women are retiring, or, they're moving to a different duty station. They may only be there for 3 or 4 years. And so we talk about cost. How much is it going to cost me up front versus my return on my investment in that 3 or 4 years? And a lot of times they don't equal out. Mm-hmm. But so we want to make sure that we're setting them up for success in the short term or the long term, whatever their need is. And, I know that you and I have had conversations about that education. I mean, we walk them through that step by step by step to make sure that they understand at a high level the benefit that they rightfully earned. Mm-hmm. So that's part of the enjoyment of my business. I mean, it's not just 30-year fixed mortgages, because that's kind of boring. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's to be able to profoundly, in my opinion, affect the future of someone. Mm-hmm. We treat all our clients, like just our active duty and military clients, but they're special to me. I treat all my clients the same, but they are special to me. And I want to make sure that they are set up for success.
Yeah. And I love that about you, because you want to, put that so much into everything that you're doing. And I just really appreciate that you're taking it from that standpoint.
Right. Yeah. I love it. And that's where you have aligned for, the time that we've known each other, is the education piece. I think it's